habits Hispanic families have that I don't like. In this video, I'm gonna go in detail of some of the habits that Hispanics families have that have been going on for generations and generations. Thank you for watching. This is the Superman of Real Estate, where we talk real estate, life, and entrepreneurship. And let's get right to it. All right, guys, so this question has been going on. I've been thinking about it. I've been meditating on how can I put this out on social media. And here's the truth, guys. I come from a Hispanic family. My parents were immigrants to this country. And there is a set of generational habits that continue on throughout generations. Just an example, not my family, but in a lot of Hispanic families, the mom gets pregnant at a very young age, let's say around 14 or 15 years old. That's just something that I've seen so many times in Hispanic families. And then the daughters, the same daughters, when they're around the same age, they end up getting pregnant at the same age. And why does this happen? It happens because we have these generational habits or generational curses, I would call them. And we don't talk about this. This is a taboo that we don't talk about in the Hispanic community. And I wanted to go over a couple of different things or habits that Hispanic families have that I don't like personally, that I'm trying to change. And the reason why I talk about this is because I'm trying to change these same habits in my own family. So, number one of the very bad habits that Hispanic families have is that they don't focus on education. What do I mean with this? Hispanic families, what do? They have their kids go to just any elementary school. They don't have their kids come home and create a habit of reading or going over math problems. Hispanic families, what they do, they don't have that habit. They just come home, they put the kids to play, or they go and watch a lot of TV. And education is very important if you want to progress in this life. And the reason I talk about this is because in my family, we had a very similar situation. And there is a reason why. Hispanic families usually, majority of the parents, both of the parents have to work. So in my family, my mom had to go to work every morning to make ends meet. My dad would be sleeping by the time I left through the door to school. When I came back, I wouldn't see my dad till the next day or until his day off, because he would get off from work around 10, 11 p.m. So never saw my parents. And when I would come home from school, the first thing I would do is eat and watch TV. And I never had them, they would always say, Ricardo, I want you to get good grades. I want you to do this. But they didn't understand how to help me become educated. And this is one of the habits that we don't talk about as Hispanic families. We don't really care sometimes. Maybe it's not that we don't care. Maybe it's that we're just ignorant in that way, that we don't want our children to grow, to get the best education, to put them in sports, to help them get the opportunities that other kids have. And I'm just gonna say, the güeritos, the white folk, right? They have better opportunities. The kids get better opportunities, and therefore, since they practice that, they get ahead of the Hispanic family or the Hispanic kids. And it is a taboo conversation to talk about, but I wanted to point that out. So the first one, guys, is we as Hispanics, we lack focus on education. All right, guys, so number one, we don't focus on education, and this leads me to the second one, which is parents are always working. And the reason is, usually the Hispanic families are the ones that are on the lower end. They're the ones that have lower incomes, the ones that always get the free lunch because there is not enough income. And what does this do to the family? So mom is working, Example, my family, my mom was working in the casinos. She was a housekeeping maid. My dad was a chef in the casinos. So I would never get to see my dad. I would only see him about once or twice a week. So because they were working, they never had enough time to sit down and teach us habits, some of these better habits. There is no time. So if you're missing the mom, she's at work. If you have the dad at work as well, who is technically raising your children? Think about that. Who is raising your children? The media. All of the majority of Hispanic families, the media is raising your children. TikToks, social media, Facebook, whatever videos your kids are watching, that is what they're actually learning. It's kind of sad, guys. We don't have time because we need to make ends meet. And that is why we don't focus on helping our children, because we're too busy working. One of the other habits that Hispanic families don't tend to do is to set goals. And I guess there's a reason. We come from a different country, maybe just not Mexico. We have different countries, Cuba, Venezuela, Guatemala. You have so many different other countries, Chile. And you come to the United States, you come to the Yuma, the Cubans call it La Yuma. We come here and we focus, we want what's best for us. But what's best for us in our own country, when we come here and we get our food, we have food on the table, we have a roof over our heads. That is all that we accomplish, because it was we were better than we were before in our countries. Because in some countries, Cuba, don't have any food. Mexico, some parts, there is not enough food. So once you come to the United States, you become the robot that the government wants you to be. And you forget to set higher goals, to set higher horizons. And you live in a comfortable state. And you become comfortable of just because you were better than you were at your country, and you become comfortable. So Hispanic families, a lot of us don't like to set goals, and we get comfortable with what we have already. And what happens when we become comfortable? Our progression stops. Our learning stops. If you never educate yourself or learn or grow, then your income will always be the same. So if you want to increase your income, you have to increase your self-education. But since we're so comfortable in here, we're never going to grow. So that is one of the other bad habits that Hispanic family have. All right, guys, this is a very big one. I've consistently seen families go through this same routine, the same thing that happens over and over. And here's the deal: even some other type of families. Usually, Hispanic families do not have what's called a family trust. They don't have a testament of who's going to take over the properties. And what does this happen, guys? Usually, so I've been listening to a podcast, and it was talking about how to create generational wealth, right? So when you don't create a family trust, I think it was the Rothschilds, not the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers. So the Rockefeller family, when Rockefeller passed away, 70% of his wealth was not passed on to future generations. Why? Because Rockefeller did not have a family trust in place. So guys, it is very important for us Hispanic families to have a family trust, so that you can clarify who's going to receive what, how much monies are going to be distributed between the family, so that the generational wealth can continue on. If not, guys, the government, the courts will keep majority, the attorneys will keep majority of the wealth, and you won't be able to receive that benefit. So guys, please, if you don't know where to start, you can message me and I will contact you with some attorney. If you live in a different state, I will try to find an attorney for you, but connect with someone that can help you create what's called a family trust. In the family trust, it's going to talk how many properties do you have, how much monies will be distributed between the people, between the kids. And then this is where you can also put different morals. An example, if one of the kids turns out to be a drug addict, turns out to go and get prostitutes, starts to do a bunch of alcohol, and just starts ripping through the money, should that kid continue to receive the funds from the family trust? So that's something you need to talk about in your family. So guys, go home tonight, get your family together, get a family plan together of what you guys are gonna do so that you can continue to transfer that generational wealth. All right, guys, this is a big one. We all know what a quinceañera is. And here's the truth, guys. Stop spending all this money on quinceañeras. I've seen people spend $5,000, $10,000, $50,000. Once I attended a quinceañera that they had spent over $50,000 on a quinceañera. Why? I just don't understand. Why would you spend that much money on a quinceañera? Doesn't make sense, guys. So within the Hispanic, it is a tradition. It is a habit that we always have. Oh, I want a quinceañera. I want to have all these people here. I want to have food. I want to have the dance. That is great, guys. Don't get me wrong. It's good to experience, but limit yourself a little bit on the funds that you throw at it. There's some people that get even into debt to be able to give their kids a quinceañera. If you can't afford it, guys, don't be spending tens and thousands of dollars on quinceañera. Another big one, a lot of Hispanic families love to do big parties. They spend thousands of dollars on food, on alcohol. For what, guys? It's just a bad habit that we have as Hispanics, and we're just running through the money, spitting the money out. All the money that comes in goes out, and you don't keep any money for yourself. So guys, stop spending a lot of money on quinceañeras. Instead of spending that money on quinceañeras, buy yourself, your daughters, a car, get some money for future education, buy him some books, make your daughter go into some sort of class or personal development. That's gonna help him far more than a quinceañera party. All right, guys, so a couple of years ago, when I started real estate, there was this training from my brokerage, and I was in a brokerage where majority of the people were there were Hispanic. And there was this guy who came to this event and he spoke and he told us the story. He said he started to sell cars. He was a car salesperson. So he was at the lowest rank. He wasn't selling any cars. He wasn't making any money. And what ended up happening was the manager came around with this individual and he said, let's say Bill, what's going on? He showed him his name. His name was at the very bottom of production. He had 0 sales, 0 car sales. This is what the manager told Bill. He said, Bill, I want you to take a whole month off from work. Buy yourself a bunch of books, but not just any books, guys. Don't buy any Twilight, Harry Potter. Don't buy these type of books. Buy books that will change and elevate your mindset. Okay? Example, Think and Grow Rich. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Atomic Habits. The Magic of Thinking Big. Guys, The Magic of Thinking Big. This is a book that changed my mindset. My first year in real estate, I made $20,000. And I really think because of this book, my income went from $20,000 to over $100,000 because I read this one book that changed my life. And right now, as we speak today, I am reading one of the best books that I've read in a long time, Atomic Habits. That has changed my life completely. So what do these books do for you? They elevate your mindset. They increase your capacity to think. And what happens, it's precept upon precept. So you start with an idea, and then you start to build the idea with all of these books. And then you start to make connections between the books, between the education that you receive from the books. And then your brain reaches a new level of understanding. And then now, with that new level of understanding, you can go out and make more money. You can go and make a new business. But a lot of the Hispanic community, we lack that personal development aspect to our lives. So guys, I plead with all of you guys, start focusing on your personal development. You want to start investing in real estate, you want to open a business, you only have $1,000, $2,000, this is what you should do. Improve yourself, improve your self-image. If you need your teeth to be whiten your teeth, get better glasses, buy yourself some new clothes so you can boost your confidence. Go attend a seminar that will elevate your mindset. Before you start investing in any other business, if you're gonna start flipping houses, before you do that, guys, focus on you. Focus on yourself, focus on the growth. And I guarantee you guys, if you only have between $1,000 to $5,000, spend that money on yourself. Like I said, reading books, seminars that will elevate your mindset, clothes that will elevate your confidence. Try out a new hairstyle, something that's gonna boost your confidence and help you be more productive and to push more. All right, guys, this is a big one between the Hispanics. There's a story that my dad told me when I was a kid. The story goes like this. There was a man who was walking down the beach and he was carrying 2 buckets. And in the buckets, he had crabs. And there was 2 buckets. One bucket was covered with a cloth and one of the other bucket was exposed. There was no cloth, there was nothing. And a man came to this man and he said, "What do you have here, sir?" And he said, "Well, I have 2 buckets of crabs." And he asked, "Okay, so tell me why this bucket is covered and this bucket is uncovered." Well, he said, "Let me show you." So he uncovered the crabs on his left, and they started to see that these crabs would help each other out, and then eventually they would crawl out of the bucket. And he said, "How interesting." And then he said, "But wait, let's look at this bucket." So they turn around, and every time one of the crabs would start to crawl out of the bucket, another crab would come and pull him down. And he said, it's very much like the Hispanics. Okay, I'm gonna assume it like it's the Hispanics. This bucket is like the Hispanics. When one of us starts to see success, we start to envy that person and we start to pull them down instead of elevating them, instead of pushing them, instead of motivating them. We start to push them down because we can't stand that they are better, they're getting better than us. And this bucket is full of Asian crabs or Jewish. The Jews, very interesting. What the Jews do is they open a business, they gather together, and they're like, "Okay, Billy, you're the next one. We're all gonna save money as a group, and we're gonna give you all the money, and you're gonna start your business." And very, very interesting fact as well. once he opens his business, all the people from the group, if it's a certain trade, let's say real estate, all that group goes with that guy that they helped. So you see, guys, the money stays within the Jewish community. That is the reason why a lot of the Asians or a lot of the Hindu people that come over, or from India, they come over and they live in the same home, multiple families. They help each other out. They save money. They buy a restaurant. Boom, that family is set. Now we're gonna save. We're gonna now help this family over here. And that's what they do, and that's why they can progress. But I see a lot in the Hispanic community, we envy when someone starts to progress. We get upset that they have what we wish that we had. So guys, stop with this. Stop being envy of the other person. Envy is just showing that you're lacking education and self-confidence in yourself. That's why I talked about the personal development side, because as soon as you understand, you can help each other out. This leads me to my next point, which is a lot of the Hispanics do not have what's called connections. We lack connections within the community. Just an example, my dad growing up, I was thinking about this and I was meditating. We were traveling on the way to Mexico, and I asked him, Dad, why didn't you never meet anyone with money? Why didn't you meet millionaires? Why didn't you connect with them? Why didn't you ask them how they became rich? And he said, well, you know what, son, it's just the connections I had. They were just from work, casino workers. And he had a friend who was maybe a little wealthy, not much money. But this guy, he was the most successful person my dad knew. And remember this, guys, the closest 5 people you hang around with, you will become the 6th person that has similar incomes, mindset. So if you have 5 friends that they're all drinkers, they don't save money, they don't invest, they're not about growth, that's who you will become. En español dice, dime con quién andas y te diré quién eres. So you become your friends, you become who you hang around with. And it finally clicked that my dad had stopped his progression because of that reason. Another reason was the language. He wasn't able to connect with other people because of the language. He didn't have the language. He had the language barrier and he couldn't speak with the other people. So that is a big one, guys. Please make connections, and don't just make a connection and force that person to give you. You have to be able to give value to that person. Let's say, example, if I'm a painter and I make a connection with an electrician, I'm gonna go and, you know what? I'll paint your house for free. If it's yours, I'll paint it for free. Send me some business. Boom. You just increase your referral business that way. But otherwise, you will be stuck forever without making connections. All right, guys, I saved the best for last. Too much TV watching or watching La Rosa de Guadalupe. And what do I mean with this? We have one of our workers. He works, right? He gets home around 5 o'clock, and I tell him, okay, hey, what do you do when you get home? And I asked him this question just out of curiosity. I asked him, what did you do when you get home? He says, well, the normal thing that everyone does. I come home, I change or I take a shower, I eat my dinner, and then I sit and watch the news and the novelas. And I'm like, is that all you do? He's like, yeah. I do that till about 10 o'clock. So imagine, guys, 5 hours from 5, say 4 hours, 4 hours. He gets home, 5 hours, 4 hours watching TV, no personal development, no growth. He goes to sleep, he comes back to work and does it again. And I did the math, guys. I did the math. If you were to watch 5 hours a day from TV, 5 hours a day, that's 7 days a week. That's 35 hours a week. times 4 weeks, 140 hours a month, times 12. You're looking at 1,600 hours of watching nonsense. Now get this, divided by 24, you have wasted 70 days out of your 365 days in the year watching TV. How much more can you do with 70 extra days? So that's what I mean, guys. You have to be able to keep growing. Stop wasting time on Facebook, on TikTok, watching La Rosa de Guadalupe, watching these series. You know, guys, I hate, my wife always wants to put on these shows or these series. I hate watching the series because I don't have time to watch them. I say, look, just put me one movie that I can watch for 1 hour or 2, and that's it. I'm not gonna sit there and keep continually watch the season 3, 2, 4, blah, blah, blah. I don't have time, guys. There is no time. This life is too short to be watching TV. Focus on your goals. Focus on yourself. Focus on your growth. Focus on becoming a better person. Focus on building generational wealth. Be the change, guys. We have to be the change. We have to cut those generational curses and habits that we have from generations before. We have to stop, guys. Stop those bad habits. Create new ones. Become better. That's the message, guys. I want you guys to be better. I want you guys to push yourself. I want you guys to become better, because one day the Hispanics will run this country. I've already seen it. It is a promise that I've seen. We have more Hispanic politicians. We have more Hispanic attorneys. We have more Hispanic police officers, more Hispanic teachers. And one day we will flourish like a flower. Guys, thank you for watching The Superman of Real Estate.